I caught my wife cheating, but I waited until she made one huge mistake. The first time I realized my wife was cheating on me, I didn't confront her. I didn't scream. I didn't throw her clothes onto the lawn. I simply looked at the message on her phone and decided to wait. Because the man she was seeing had no idea who I was. And my wife had no idea that 3 weeks later, she would make one mistake so big that she would expose the entire affair herself. My name is Daniel, and I had been married to Emily for 8 years. We weren't the perfect couple, but from the outside, we looked pretty normal. We lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio. We had a small house, a golden retriever named Cooper, and the kind of routine most married couples eventually fall into. I worked as a project manager for a construction company. Emily worked in marketing for a medical supply company. Our mornings were predictable. Coffee, work, dinner, a little TV, then bed. Nothing exciting. And honestly, I thought that was a good thing. Until Emily started changing. It happened slowly. She began taking her phone everywhere. If she went into the bathroom, the phone went with her. If she walked the dog, the phone was in her hand. If I entered the room while she was texting, the screen suddenly went dark. At first, I told myself I was imagining things. Then she started working late. A lot. Big project, she would say. End of quarter deadlines. I believed her. Or maybe I just wanted to. Then one Thursday night, everything changed. Emily had fallen asleep on the couch. Her phone was sitting beside her. I wasn't looking for anything. At least that's what I told myself. Then the screen lit up. A message appeared. I hate going home after seeing you. My stomach dropped. The sender was saved as Mark, work. I knew Mark. He was her co-worker. I had met him once at an office Christmas party. I remember shaking his hand. I remember him smiling at me. And suddenly, I remembered something else. He had looked at Emily differently. Not like a co-worker. Like a man who already knew something about her that I didn't. I unlocked the phone. There were hundreds of messages. I read enough. I didn't need to read everything. There were hotel reservations, secret lunches, deleted photos that had somehow remained in the recently deleted folder, and messages between them that made it painfully clear this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't one drunken night. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It had been going on for almost 6 months. 6 months. While I was sitting at our kitchen table asking her how work was going, she was secretly building another relationship. I put the phone back exactly where I'd found it. Emily woke up about 10 minutes later. She smiled. Hey, you okay? I looked at the woman I had loved for 8 years. And I said the only thing I could think of. Yeah, just tired. That night I barely slept. But by morning I had made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I wanted to understand exactly what she was planning. Because something about the messages bothered me. Emily and Mark weren't just talking about each other. They were talking about money. Our money. I started paying attention. And slowly, I discovered things I hadn't noticed before. Emily had opened a new bank account. She had moved some money from our joint savings. She had also started talking to a real estate agent. I knew because I found an email confirmation on our shared computer. She was looking at apartments. Not for us. For herself. Then I found something even worse. A document with both Emily's and Mark's names on it. It was a business proposal. They were planning to start a small marketing company together. And they were using money Emily had quietly taken from our joint account to help fund it. That's when I realized this wasn't just an affair. They were planning their future. And apparently, I wasn't part of it. So I kept quiet. I documented everything. Bank transfers, messages, emails, dates. I didn't hack anything. I didn't break into her accounts. I simply kept records of information that was already accessible to me through our shared finances and devices. Then I contacted a lawyer. Not because I wanted revenge, because I needed to know what my options were. The lawyer looked through everything and said something I'll never forget. Daniel, don't confront her until you understand the financial picture. So I waited. And for 3 weeks, I acted like everything was normal. Emily became more confident. She thought she had fooled me. She started staying out later. She bought new clothes. She even started talking about how unhappy she'd been in our marriage. One evening, she looked at me across the dinner table and said, "Do you ever feel like we're just roommates?" I looked at her and almost laughed, because I knew she was already emotionally living with someone else. But I simply said, "Sometimes." She nodded. "I think we need to figure out what we want." I said, "I agree." She had no idea what I meant. Then came the mistake. It happened on a Tuesday morning. Emily rushed out of the house for work. She was unusually nervous. She kissed me quickly and said she might be home late. Then she left. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang. It was our bank. There had been an unusual transfer from our joint account. The amount was $38,000. Emily had transferred nearly all of our remaining savings into a business account. A business account connected to the company she planned to start with Mark. But there was one problem. She had accidentally transferred the money from the wrong account. She had meant to move money from an account she had opened privately. Instead, she had moved our money. And because it was a joint account, the bank flagged it. I immediately called my lawyer. He told me not to touch the money. Just document everything. So I did. That afternoon, Emily came home early. She walked through the front door smiling. "Daniel." I was sitting at the kitchen table. "Yes." She put her purse down. "We need to talk." I nodded. She sat across from me. "I think I need some space." I looked at her. "How much space?" She hesitated. "I think I might stay with a friend for a while." I knew exactly what that meant. She was going to Mark. Then she said something that almost made me lose my composure. "I don't want this to become ugly." I stared at her. "Ugly?" "Yes." She took a breath. "I've been unhappy for a long time." I nodded slowly. Then I slid a folder across the table. Her face changed. "What is that?" "Bank statements." She opened the folder. Then she saw the first page. Her eyes froze. She turned another page. Then another. Finally, she looked at me. "Daniel." I said nothing. She started crying. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was just tired. She whispered, "How long have you known?" 3 weeks. Her face went pale. "You knew?" "Yes." "And you didn't say anything?" "No." "Why?" I leaned back in my chair. "Because I wanted to see how far you were willing to take it." She looked down at the folder. Then I said, You weren't just cheating on me, Emily. You were stealing from our future. She started apologizing. She said she was confused. She said Mark understood her. She said things between them had gotten out of control. But I had heard enough. Then she made one final mistake. She called Mark. Right there in front of me. I didn't stop her. She put the phone on speaker. Mark, he knows. Silence. Then Mark said, "What does he know?" Emily started crying. "Everything." Another silence. Then Mark said the words that destroyed whatever was left of their relationship. "Wait, you told me the money was yours." Emily looked at me. I looked at her. And suddenly, she understood. Mark hadn't known she was taking money from our joint account. He thought she was leaving me cleanly. He thought she was financially independent. He didn't know about the debt. He didn't know about the apartment she had secretly rented. He didn't know about the money. And most importantly, he didn't know that Emily had told me absolutely nothing about their plans. The call ended. Emily sat there in silence. For the first time in months, I saw the truth on her face. She had believed she was controlling everything. But she wasn't. She had built her entire secret life on lies. And eventually, one lie collided with another. A few months later, our divorce was finalized. The financial issues were handled through the legal process. The money she had transferred was recovered. Her relationship with Mark didn't last. Apparently, once the fantasy disappeared and real life showed up, they weren't nearly as compatible as they had imagined. As for me, I moved into a smaller place. I kept Cooper. I started going to therapy. And for the first time in years, I learned what it felt like to wake up without wondering what someone was hiding from me. People sometimes ask me why I waited 3 weeks after discovering the affair. The truth is simple. I didn't wait because I was weak. I waited because I needed the truth. Cheating wasn't the worst thing Emily did. The worst part was watching her turn our marriage into a financial exit plan while convincing me everything was normal. And eventually, she made one huge mistake. She thought she was transferring money into her new life. Instead, she transferred the evidence that ended the old one. And that's the strange thing about lies. You can protect one lie. You can protect two. You can even protect a whole secret relationship. But eventually, you make one mistake. And when that mistake touches everything you've been hiding, the truth doesn't need to be discovered. It exposes itself.